Okay, okay. I'll be alright. First show. No pressure. No pressure. No pressure. Hey everybody, I'm the Wolfman, and you're watching the Power Play. Game on. This ain't working. Ooh. Ole, 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 hee, hoo. Oh. Bienvenue, gaming fans, and welcome to the first ever edition of the Power Play, and hopefully I don't screw this up bad enough that it won't be the last. Now, as seems to be an unwritten law amongst major commercial review sites, they tend to favor innovation over originality. Which in other words basically means that they'd rather see something made up all bright and shiny, Halo Anniversary Edition, than see something brand new. Games with any form of originality are generally either nitpicked to death, or they're just complained about on every possible front, even if the complaints don't exactly make a whole lot of sense. And that's kind of the purpose of this episode. We're going to let 3 games who were absolutely pulverized that actually have a semblance of originality, be it their original control scheme, original premise, or just generally something we haven't seen before. We're going to let them take the ice and defend themselves and see if they really deserve the beating that they got. Alright, so in first period action, the first game up on the list came out all the way back in 2005. It was supposed to show exactly what the 6-axis controller was capable of doing. Anticipation was high, and people were pumped. Until it came out. Upon release, it was promptly and severely pounded into the concrete like Carlo Rizzi in The Godfather, receiving such terrible scores as a 4.9 out of 10 from IGN, a 4.5 out of 10 from GameSpot, a 53% on Metacritic, and an absolutely god-awful 3 out of 10 on Edge, claiming it to actually be worse than Two Worlds. Two Worlds. I am, of course, referring to the PS3 exclusive Lair. For those of you who aren't familiar with the game or just haven't played it yet, I'll give you the basic premise. You take on the role of Roan, a member of the elite sky guard of the Assyrian army, fighting the supposedly evil Mokai army, but it turns out they're not as evil as everybody thought, and something about a religious zealot puppet master, yada yada yada. You've seen this plotline a million times before.
The Mokai are burning the city! Assyria's burning!
But surprisingly enough, the main issue that the commercial reviewers had with the game was not its cookie-cutter plot. So what else is there to go on? I mean, the gameplay is fast-paced and exciting, the sound was provided by THX, not much there to top that, and the music is absolutely fantastic. So, what's the problem? Are you sitting down? The reason that Lair received such low scores was because, you ready for this? The control scheme is too confusing. Seriously. Okay. Here. I'll show it to you all so you can understand exactly what you need to do. You might want to take notes because this is going to get really complex, alright? Okay, folks, welcome to Lair Controls 101. I hope you got your pencils ready because this is going to be a toughie. Okay, here's how it works. In order to go left, you tilt the 6-axis controller to the left.
The troops are unloading!
You want to turn to the right, you tilt the controller to the right. You want to go up, you tilt the controller up. And if you want to go down, are you ready for this? You tilt the controller down. This isn't quantum physics, numbnuts! What's the problem? Okay, maybe I was being a little harsh. Well, apparently one of the most complained about control issues is that you cannot make tight turns, even though all you have to do is flick the controller up to pull a wing-shearing 180. They also complain that the 6-axis controls are, quote, horribly unresponsive. While I will admit I have had some moments where the movements wouldn't register right away, these were few and far between for me. Another complaint is that the gameplay itself is boring. Boring and repetitive. Apparently, two dragons battling out in the air, their massive bodies slamming into each other in a high-altitude shoving match until it breaks out into a tooth-and-claw, button-mashing fight to the death as both dragons free-fall to the ground is boring to these people. Even though they don't exactly seem to complain too much with other mindless button mashers like, I don't know, God of War. Yeah, didn't think so. Another dumb complaint that these people have is apparently the lock-on system is so broken it never locks onto what you need it to and can just lock onto random soldiers on the ground. Trust me, folks, unless you happen to be playing this game with your butt cheeks, you're gonna be just fine. The lock-on system works just dandy. If I've ever had that problem, I haven't. So relax. There's nothing wrong with the lock-on system. There's nothing wrong with the control scheme. I will admit the 6-axis controls do take a little bit of getting used to. I'm not going to lie on that. And I'm also not saying that the game is flawless. Like I said, there's some lag in control response. There's the cookie cutter, overly predictable storyline is another one. And my biggest issue with the game, no multiplayer. Can you imagine how awesome 8-on-8 Dragon battles would be on the PlayStation Network? Come on, would that not be cool? Let's face it, the PlayStation Network needs more dragon fighting games. What console doesn't need more dragon fighting games? Apparently, according to major commercial reviewers, that doesn't matter because the controls are too hard. The whole game is a disaster. Despite its fantastic graphics, wonderful sound, and at times painfully, tragically beautiful music. One IGN reviewer stated, and I quote, he was wondering if Lucifer himself pressed this Blu-ray disc in the pits of hell. Really? Really? That's just being ridiculous. So, what score would I give it? I'm going to be completely honest here. I'd say out of 10, I'd give Lair a 7.5. Not perfect, but it's still a whole lot of fun. Especially if you're into just mindless dragon-on-dragon action, like I am. Okay, I think that wraps up about the first period on the power play. Come on back for the second period and we'll bring in our new review. This one for a game and a company that was brutalized and stifled before it even got off the ground. Enjoy the intermission, go grab some popcorn, take a leak if you have to. We'll see you back here for the second period. Ciao.